Well, good morning, my YouTube friends. It's Margaret here from M.E.s Orchids, and I'm in the grow room, and I thought what I'd do today, well, first of all, I'll go through some of my rescue orchids that I've got mounted. Now, at the moment, it's 84 degrees humidity here, and it's 20 degrees centigrade. In fact, we've got rain outside. We've had the last few days have been absolutely glorious. Now, these phalaenopsis that I'm going to show you now are all in different stages of recovery, and some people might say, well, you know, why bother? And I've actually thought that myself at times, but you know, then I look at them and I just think, well, there is still life in there, and the reason I say there's still life in there, if I just spray these roots, and this is how I do. These go in with my mounted orchids every day, and they go into the bathroom because I find that the best place, and I spray them. And there we go. So those roots are hydrated. Now, I don't actually spray them any more than that. They just stay in the bathroom, and then the humidity from in the bathroom by the time I've sprayed them all, and then probably about half an hour, when they finish dripping, I just bring them back into the grow room. And these fit on, they have individual places on my racks, and they face the same way, and they all go in the same place. That's another thing that I've fathomed out, especially with my environment, as I always place the orchids, usually, I mean, there can be the exception to the rule, but usually they go back in the same place. So I'm just going to bob her over here because she's still dripping. And this is one, if you like, that this is quite nice because it's that shape of that piece of cork bark, and it enables me to get hold of her. But she does hang, and this is the one that I remounted because I wanted that bigger mount. And again, this gets no different treatment. In fact, I'm probably going to have to just manoeuvre around this way, because otherwise she's going to, that's it. There we go. You see? The active roots are green, and let's have a look if she's showing any signs of sending out any branching of those roots. She's doing quite well. She's still a little bit dehydrated. She's got that new leaf there, but she's on the road to recovery, and that's all that we can ask. And that's another thing I've come to realise when you grow orchids, is that these phalaenopsis are bred for the market. They're bred to sell. They've got absolutely fantastic blooms, and that's all that the seller is interested in. Get them on the shelf, get them sold, they make the profit. So, but when you bring them home, it's a different kettle of fish. Because when you bring them home, they are, first of all, they can carry on blooming, there's nothing wrong with that. And in fact, you know, you can have weeks and weeks of absolute gorgeous blooms. But then after the blooms, they just stop. And you think to yourself, well, is that it? And unfortunately, that is it, unless you're prepared to let these orchids adapt to your environment. And what do I mean by adapt to your environment? Well, I live in the northwest of England, so we have the 4 seasons: spring, summer, autumn and winter. And what these, I mean, I don't know, these could be originally from anywhere in Europe, or even, you know, further afield. But once they've flowered, they need then to adapt to your environment. And I'm really what we call an intermediate grower. See that one there's got a green shoot, and it's got a lovely big new leaf, and there looks as though the signs of that now coming to life, and that one's coming to life. And some of mine I've had in pots. I've still got some in clay pots over there, and they're doing very well. And I've got some mounts spare. Some of them are in glass vases, and this one I decided with some of the others just to mount. Now I don't, I just sprayed them like that. And excuse me, I'm pumping away here with my little, this is my little spray, one of my sprays. There we go, that's a better. And now and again I'll feed them. But I'm not one of those that feeds weekly. Because I don't think mine necessarily need that, especially when they're in rescue. I'm not saying when they're romping away that, they wouldn't appreciate a lot of food, but what I don't want to do, you see right in there, just behind that string, there's another little tiny root. Sorry, I'm digressing. What I don't want to do is to burn the tips of these new growing roots. That's definitely what I don't want to do. So that's that one. And this one, some orchids, don't ask me why. Let me just put that one so it's more secure. Don't ask me why. Some of them, you can change them over and they think that it's wonderful. This one, I put her on this cork bark here, and straight away, I haven't actually untied this from the fishing line because it was nice and secure, and that was the first root it put out, and it's hit the back of that bark there, and now it's going sideways, and it's got this growing tip here. So again, they all get the same treatment. And I wonder if she'll let me, because this one, I'm just a little bit wary because this one's a little bit heavier, is that I'm going to put her sideways in here. And I do spray behind like this, and I spray that aerial root there, and then I go down this way with that. And that one can actually just sit there for a short while. Now this is that container that I fill up virtually to the top when I'm doing my calcium feed, and I tested it with the TDS and the pH meter, and that's when I realised that the kind of calcium that I use, I'd only, there's a little spoon in there, and I only use a few grains of calcium, and then I checked it, and I was absolutely amazed that I didn't need a lot of calcium. So this one wants its leaves wiping. So I'm going to go over here now. Oh, I'll just show you one more, in the sense of this is a poorly one. This is. And this one can come out of here now. See, look at those lovely. A bit like the roots in the ones in glass vases. You see, when they're hydrating, and but because these are actually on mounts, these get watered virtually every day. These were watered yesterday afternoon, so they get watered more than the ones in the glass vases, because of course they've got no reservoir. So I'm just going to put that one down there now, And this little one here. Look at this one. Look at this. You know. And some people might think, well, why don't you just throw it away? Well, I could throw it away. But then the challenge is not to throw it away. The challenge is to see whether or not you can actually get it to recover. And she's got one root and a withered one. And I spray like it. Like that. Let's just check if she's got one round here. Oh, she's got, yeah, that's right, she's got another little stump round there as well. So I spray that little stump there. Now you see she's got some residual water now down there. Can you see? I don't know whether you can see, but she's got some residual water. Now, I would normally get, as I'm in the bathroom, I get a bit of toilet paper and I just put the toilet paper in there and just let it take up that excess water. But as I'm in the growing room, and even though I could leave her just in here for a short while I'm filming, I shall just take you off camera now and I shall just blow on her. Just hold on. And the reason we blow on them is we mustn't get water down there. You get phalaenopsis are susceptible to crown rot, which is the top, and then they're also susceptible to stem rot. And both of them will take your phalaenopsis down. See those roots? They still, see the hydrating? And this one just hangs over there. Like that. So I'm going to sit down now and I'm going to show you a couple more that I've got in rescue. And this one, oh look at this. This is one that I nearly threw out, and I don't know why I didn't really, but I think maybe I decided at the last minute to see whether or not she'd respond and blow me down. Look at this. And what I've done this morning, she'd had these two leaves, these two, they died back. And inside that area where the leaves were, you see she's got these two roots. That couldn't go anywhere because of the leaves. And then I noticed this morning, this little area here, I thought, oh God, I think there's a new root coming through there. So I snipped those leaves back. And there she's got that new root growing. And now because I've exposed it to this light, hopefully now those, I'm not sure whether they will, but hopefully those other two may start to grow now. And she's got that aerial root there. And if I'll show you down there, she's got another root there. And let's just have a look at it. She's just got some styrofoam peanuts at the bottom. She's just got some orchid bark there. And there she's got a nice root, and that's deciding to climb up. So this one, believe it or not, will recover. I mean, it might take a while, it might take another 12 months for it to start to bloom. But you see that moisture there in there? See, that tells me now that the top part here, the media is dry. But it won't come to any harm because I've got the humidifier on, and like I say, the humidity's now gone up to 86. And so that one won't get watered, not until that moisture dissipates. So that's one that's going to recover. This one, this is another big one. Now I think this one, I'm not actually sure whether this didn't have any roots. And this is another rescue one. This is one that I got, well look at that poor leaf there, but that's a new leaf now for this season. That was cold damage, and that one isn't a brilliant one. But let's look at her roots. I think, bear with me a minute while I just turn around. She started, I think she got one root, a small root like I've just shown you at the back, and that one root through the winter started to grow, and it's grown down now. I look, and it's got a secondary one coming off it, and then it's produced that one. And this one's in styrofoam peanuts. There's a little bit of sphagnum moss there, and it's got orchiata bark. Oh, look at that one, missed that one, that's another one. And so this is another one that's going to recover. So I'm really chuffed about that. But this one here has taken at least 6 months. At least 6 months. So you've got to have patience with your orchids, especially phals. They don't rush, and they won't be rushed. So let's just bring you these that are in the vases, and they're at this stage now. Now these weren't fed last time, and they're not going to be fed this time. And people, I think people do get confused, you know. I mean, there's a lot going on YouTube, and without YouTube, I mean, where would we all be? I mean, we all learn through YouTube, and thankful I am too, those people who, you know, decide to video and share their experiences, because we do learn an awful lot from them. But what we all have to remember is that each one of us have a unique environment, and that unique environment is what we class as our growing room. Roger has the conservatory at the back of his house, and Miss Danny girl, I mean, she has, you know, a grow room that is at the side of her property, or is part of her property. And she used to live in Romania, and now she lives in Cyprus. So a lot of her orchids will have had to adapt it to that new atmosphere, which is a lot different than England. I'm not saying that Cyprus doesn't have winters, because it will do, but their summers will be a lot hotter, and maybe their winters will be a lot shorter. So once you learn, and it takes a long time, I've struggled a lot understanding each and every one of my orchids, and the point is, they're like children. Each one is different. You can't look at one and think, well, the way I'm going to grow this is going to be the same for everyone, because it's not. Each child develops at a different stage, and likewise with your orchids. They will develop at their own stage. Some will flower quicker than others, some will double flower, while others you might wait years, like that big one up there that I bought for 99p off eBay, and that's taken 3 years. It's patience. That big word beginning with P, patience. And that's what orchid growing has taught me. Now this big one here, there's no feed in here, and I just give her, not necessarily do I have to, I don't take these to the bathroom, and I don't necessarily water those aerial roots. I just poke my nozzle down in there, and some will get hit by the water and some won't. And when I see that level down there, just going a little bit higher, just Just bear with me a minute while I'm going to just turn around. Let's have a look. Now it's not quite high enough yet, so I'm pumping away here. Right, now can you see that water level? And that root there has just gone into that water level. And there we go. You can see all those roots that are hydrating. Actually, this aerial root up till there is hydrated, and if I was to spray here, that would be a hydrated. But there's no need, because there's the humidity's, oh, it's gone up to 87 now. The humidity will provide the moisture to that aerial root. So I'm just going to put that there. That's one of the three sisters. And since I've converted her into this method now, this one's romping away, and hopefully, because this hasn't bloomed for maybe 2.5 years now, and I'm keeping my fingers crossed that it'll start to bloom. Now, let me just move this big one here, and then I'll show you now. And people maybe say to me, well, what made you decide to, grow some of your phalaenopsis this way? And I explained that I had them in pots with decorative gravel, and as you get older you don't have the same strength, and I was having difficulty lifting them, and I thought to myself, well, I'm just going to try this, and I'll show you the one that I tried it with, which I've shown you many times before. Now this is the same one as that one, and the same one up there that's continually flowered now for the last nearly 2 years. And look at that one, look at that. Now that's an aerial root, and that wasn't there the other day. And so this one now, that one, she's got a new root growing there, and she's decided to give me an extension, a secondary root coming off that main root there. And if we look inside, because people say to me, well, how dry do you let them get? Well, I just let them get dry and look and think to myself, will they last another day? And sometimes they will. Now today, because it's we've not got a hot sunny day, I didn't water them yesterday, so I decided that that's got a new growing tip there, the ones at the back there, and that one there, and we've got this one here. That's also, let me just lift her. Nope, I'm in the wrong light for you. There we go. So this is why I'm watering them today, and I'll fire away with this. Let me just pump it up. And then, so there's no reservoir at all down there, none at all. Let me just see if I can get my nozzle down anywhere else. See, because I don't like to disturb them if I can't just lift a leaf up. You see, I'm wanting to see if I can get my nozzle down there. These leaves are lovely. So let's have a look here now. Let's have a look how she's barely, if I tilt it, that one is barely touching that water level. So I need to put a little bit more in here. Oh dear, I've moved her about. I don't like to move them about. Now the water that I'm introducing now is just plain rainwater. Let's have a look. Oh, there she is. There we are. And when I put her down, let's just move her back a bit. You see, when I tilt her, the water level moves. But I think there's going to be enough water in there. And again, that part of that area root has hydrated. So I'm going to put that one back over here. And look at that probably on Wednesday now. And this is the other one that I said I didn't know whether this one whether that was going to be a flower, but I don't think it is, you know. I think that it hasn't got that mitten shape. I think that's going to be a new aerial root. And again, she's got just a little bit of moisture. There's no reservoir of water there at all, but she's still got a little bit of moisture, but there's not much. And this is what I do with all of them. I don't take them out of the vase, even when I feed them, but I just hydrate them this way. And let's have a look at that water level. There we go now. See, it's got quite a good decent water level, that has now. And those roots are nice and hydrated. So I'll bring this one up. I think I've got just 2 more to do, and then I'll call it a day. So this was my original one, and right now these are the 2 roots that give me the indicator here, these 2 big ones. And likewise now, you see they're still completely green, but if I look around here, there we go, there's actually no reservoir of water at all, and this one's got a new leaf growing there. There we go. So I will actually water this one. Let's just have a look. There's a new root there. And the reason I'm going to water this is because this won't probably last. Sorry about that, I was just taking you out of focus while I checked it. This probably won't last till Wednesday. And people might think, well, why, you know, why Wednesday? Well, I don't work on a Wednesday. And later this year I'm going to retire, which will then enable me to spend more time, or I won't be fixed to certain days for watering the orchids. Because when you first have your first phalaenopsis, usually that's the first